Good afternoon. We are going to be learning the distribution property today. This is day 21 of our chapter 2 lesson. And we're going to learn distribution property, which is needed for simplifying. So part of simplifying is to eliminate parentheses. And as we go along, you'll see that distribution property not only eliminates parentheses, it can eliminate brackets and some other grouping symbols. Basically, the process for distribution property is you multiply all numbers on the inside, and by inside, I mean inside the parentheses, multiply all numbers on the inside by the scalar. And when you're done, there will be no more parentheses. So no more parentheses at the end. So if I had to write out a formula for this process, it would be a scalar A times bx plus c. And what you're going to do is multiply everything on the inside by a. So a times bx, leave a little space, a times c. And of course, these just stack up, abx, positive times a positive is a positive, and then we have ac. And that is the simplified form. Now, we're going to use this leave a space technique here when we're first learning this, because as you'll see, whatever the sign is that you get from multiplying A and C, whether it's positive or negative, that's what lands in the middle of your expression. So you won't know the sign until you've actually multiplied the second pair. All right, let's do a couple examples. First one, negative 3 times x minus 4. And you know that when you have an x, it's really a invisible 1x. So what we're going to do is distribute the negative 3 to every term inside the parentheses. So I've got negative 3 times the first term, which is 1x. Leave a space, and then negative 3 times the second term, which is negative 4. Be sure the negative goes with the 4, so that you use it when you're multiplying. Okay, so a negative times a positive is a negative. 3 times 1 is 3, tag the x. Now the second pair, a negative times a negative is a positive, put the plus in. 3 times 4 is 12. And again, whatever you get from this second pair, that's what goes in the middle of the expression. All right, let's do another one. Example 2, 5 times negative 2x plus 9. All right, so we're going to take the 5 and multiply everything on the inside by 5. So 5 times a negative 2, leave a space, 5 times a positive 9. All right, positive times a negative is a negative. 5 times 2 is 10. Tag the x. Now, for the 5 and the 9, they're both positive. So a positive times a positive is a positive. We're going to get a plus. And then 5 times 9 is 45, and you are done. All right, let's do another example. Example 3. A negative times negative 6 minus y. All right, as we've discussed in the past, there's no such thing as a negative by itself. That's really an invisible negative 1. So when you distribute, that negative 1 is going to be multiplied by everything on the inside. So here we go. Negative 1 times negative 6. Leave a space. Now the y. Negative 1 times negative y at the end. All right, negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times 6 is 6. On the second pair, a negative times a negative is a positive. So that sign goes in the middle, so plus. And then remember again that your negative y is a negative 1y. So 1 times 1 is 1, and tag the y. Now in this case, you need to reorder this so that the y term comes first. That is your standard form order. So I'm going to write standard form order, which we've already looked at, means that the y comes first and then the plus 6. Letters before numbers. All right, that's your basic distribution property. Now moving on, Roman numeral 2, we're going to do reverse distribution. And we're going to do it in order to factor an expression. So reverse distribution. All right, so let's look at example 1. 4x minus 8. So reverse distribution is trying to go from your answer with no parentheses to your answer to your beginning problem with the parentheses. It's just the backwards process. So looking at this, you want to think of the highest number that you can take out of a 4 and an 8, which would probably be a 4. So you're going to put the 4x minus 8 in parentheses, and we're going to divide a 4 out of both of them. So the number you divide out goes to the front, and then actually do the division. 4 divides into 4, and I have an x. Negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. If you find that you can divide more numbers out, you need to do that until you have the highest number possible on the outside. All right, let's do example 2. Negative 10x minus 50. We're going to do reverse distribution, so put it in parentheses. And the highest number I can take out of a negative 10 and a negative 50 is a negative 10. My choice of a negative 10 instead of a positive 10 is because this negative right here needs to be simplified out. So to get rid of it, I have to divide by a negative 10 in both places. All right, so the negative 10 goes to the front. And now we're going to simplify. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. The 10s divide out, and I have an x. Second one, negative divided by a negative is a positive, and if I cancel out the zeros, I get 5. And that is your factored expression. Now, it doesn't matter if there are 2 terms in here or 3 terms or 4 terms, it's going to be the same process. You'll just need to divide the number out of as many terms as you have in the middle of the parentheses. Okay, are there any questions?